Good Saturday to everybody. This is Brian with the Eclectic News Network. And I know everybody wants to talk about the presidential reality show, Mask versus No Mask, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I wanted to kind of talk about a philosophical type discussion here to begin the show. And I wanted to kind of talk about some books I've been reading the last couple of weeks about Plato's Republic, 375 BC. Political philosophy, because I think people are just kind of getting bored with the presidential reality show with the rioting and stuff like that. And it's really interesting talking about Plato's Republic. And in book 1, when they talk about book 1, 2, and 3, but especially in book 3 when they talk about too much liberty is a danger. Now a lot of people would say, well, what do you mean liberty shouldn't be a danger? Well, it is a danger if it's unchecked, unfeathered, meaning libertine. So I would say that's a big problem with this society, is that we have too much liberty. We don't have a lot of restraints on each other. And I'm not saying we should be slaves, but the problem is what happens is when we have too much liberty, there's not enough order. You want to have a balance between the both of them. And that's why you have governors, and like I said, it says in this reading that governors or elected people who are the eagerest to lead are the ones that push down the most draconian laws. The ones that are least eager to lead are the ones that are the best to govern. Now, why is that? Well, that's simple. That goes back 2,700 years or 2,500 years. It says it right here. You don't have to, and this is what a lot of the founding fathers actually talked about. They went through the Roman Republic, they went through Socrates, Plato, John Locke, all those things, the Renaissance, the invention of the Gutenberg printing press, all that stuff. All the things that bring us to now. And basically, he said in one of the books, number 2, I think it was, Socrates said that they look for justice in a city than an individual man, meaning that the individual reigns supreme. To change everybody or whatever, and it comes down to being changed by man, by himself, by being the individual that you want to be, by changing that. So my thing is that I think there is a lot of truth to that, because you can only change your own microcosm. To have a system that's going to be able to take care of you and bathe you and give you welfare and all these things does not improve your lifestyle. It actually decreases it. But also too, education and virtues is very important, meaning wisdom, courage. It talks about justice and temperance, meaning that temperance meaning how you behave. Basically, gymnastics. Physical, mental, spiritual, talking about all those things. And those are very important. And, there's there's more than 4 books. There's actually a lot of books, actually. I forgot. I think it's like 9 or 10 books. But, they do, they have the, basically in the 40s, they translate it, because a lot of it's in, Greek, obviously, but it's pretty interesting. I really dug it. It's kind of a nice escape from the presidential reality show and what's going on right now with the masks. And speaking of masks, I don't think people really realize what's going on in Ohio. We had that issue where the lady was tasered for not wearing a mask. People say, well, it's private property. It's not private property. It's a school, okay? It's a public school. It's not a private school, okay? So it's a public school. So number one, if you own a home, if that lady who got tasered owns a home, she pays property taxes. And yes, there was signs saying you have to wear a mask. She had asthma. Cop told her to leave, said she didn't do anything wrong. Basically what happened was she got tased. And the people in the stands sat there and did nothing because, well, she should have just left. She shouldn't have done anything. And the lady on the camera said, where's your mask? Like laughing about it. And this is the problem with society when it becomes too hedonistic. And very low brain thinking, very reptilian brain thinking, meaning very survival thinking. That's why I like to talk about philosophy, because it brings out the higher parts instead of just people just basically killing each other over what Black Lives Matter, Antifa. These people are misled, and they've grown up with a generation or two without parents, or if they had parents, they were divorced once or twice. They've lived in a household with, they've been grown up on the tube. They look like a tube. And most people, to be honest with you, are going to be okay as long as they have their steel-belted radios, unlimited pornography, Netflix and 3 squares. They're probably not going to do anything. So that's the concern I have, is because most people won't do anything. And that's the thing I have a concern about, because people are like frog in pots right now. They're slowly turning the temperature up. Now, there's no reason to tase somebody, even though the death rate has gone down way much. And the thing is they're not even caring right now. They're just basically saying, well, this is the way it is. You have to follow this, or it's a law. It's not a law. It's a mandate. A law in a Republican form of government, little r, there has to be a legislation that has to be passed. The governor has to sign off on it. Now, if a mask was a law, it is so unpopular in the state of Ohio Senate and Congress that it would never go through. They have to mandate it, and they fine you, which, number one, is unconstitutional, by the way. Number two, you can mandate me to wash a car. Doesn't mean I got to do it. The problem is people don't know the law. It's not a law. This is like the same thing as what people don't realize is it's not required to have a vaccine to work for somebody. They'll say you have to, but you can sue them and say, look, no, I have a religious exemption. I have all those things that I can use. There's stopgaps, so people don't critically think anymore. People think, like I said, very low brainwave survival thinking. So the thing is that a lot of people would say, well, what would you do? What are you going to do? Get in there and get arrested? Yeah, you do. You have to. You have to start standing up, even if that means you go to jail, if you go to prison, if you do those things. The reason why is because the unfortunate part, and this is the unfortunate truth, most people love their things more than what's right. If you love your things more than what's right, you're living in slavery already. The chains are already around your heart. That's the truth. Now, you might not like what I say, but that's just the way it is. Also, too, if you're sitting there and this has happened to somebody or whatever, you're not saying, to win this thing, there's not going to be some white knight on a horse that's going to be able to save you. It's just not going to happen like that. Donald Trump is not going to come in there and get reelected and everything's going to be great. No, it's not. We're going to have a very deep recession, probably depression. There's going to be food shortages. There's going to be supply shortages. Unemployment's going to go back up because guess what? There's no need for commercial real estate because everybody's working from home. There's a lot of problems besides the presidential reality show. And I want people to understand that, because a lot of people are focused on, well, Trump doesn't get in, we're a socialist country. We're already there. $300 extra on top of your unemployment, that's not socialist? So I don't want to hear this, well, if he doesn't get elected, we're gonna go into communism. Well, the problem I have with people, and this is one of my objections, I'm a political atheist, but has Trump done some good things? Absolutely. Has he done some god-awful stupid things? Yeah, absolutely. Is he kind of Machiavellian? Yes, absolutely. Which is good, but do you think it's a very dirty pool, dangerous game to sit there and say, we're going to have vaccines come out with warp speed? Dangerous pool. Because when you play like that, yeah, you can get like the globalists to kind of back off or, whatever, but you don't really know. He's very unpredictable, and a lot of people don't like that. And I don't like that either, to be honest with you. But the two choices you have is somebody who's basically a reality TV show guy, who's a billionaire. And I'm not knocking billionaires. He earned his money, whatever. Joe Biden is a man who's worked in government for 47 years, who can barely talk. He's got senile dementia. Basically, Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. I mean, that's something Archie Bunker would say in, the 1970s. So it doesn't matter who gets elected. Personally, I think that Christians and conservatives wake up more when there's a Democrat in office because they actually don't want their rights taken away. When a conservative gets in there, and Trump's not a conservative, he's more of a libertarian, left-leaning on some things, on certain things, but he's right on some things, but he's more like in the middle of the road. I would say he's probably a Jimmy Carter Democrat, if anything. Not now, but back in the 70s. Liberal type. And I would say that he's, it's the presidential reality show. Trump's going to win by default because it's mask versus no mask, and Trump will win. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, is your life really going to change? And my answer is no, it's not. There's bigger problems than Trump versus Biden. There's bigger problems than Coke versus Pepsi. And these are issues that need a solution. And that means you might have to, if you want to change things, a white knight's not going to save you. It's going to have to be yourself. And that means being in prison. That means going without. That means maybe losing your life. A man dies once. A coward dies 1,000 times. I'm Brian Budd for the Eclectic News Network. I will talk to you soon.